On the Master Builders podcast today, I'm joined by Glenn Duncan, Group Manager of Customer Experience at BCITO. Hey, Glenn, welcome along.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, I tell you, we're in unprecedented times at the moment. So maybe before we dive into how BCITO is helping its members at the moment, let's learn a little bit about you. What's been your favourite meal in lockdown?
I've always been a fan of Thai food, so good curry, good green curry is my favourite.
Nice. And
yeah.
And are you the master chef in the house, or is someone else?
I'm the master chef of that piece of cuisine.
I like it.
The rest of the family does other little pieces. We've been sharing that role to help keep us sane.
Good one. And whilst you've been in lockdown, what have you been doing for your own physical health and mental health?
We've been walking as a family, which has been good for both keeping the exercise up, but it's also been good having family conversations as we go around and talking about different things. So, I suppose some people have found this quite traumatic. It's been good for me because I travel a lot, so it's been good to be connecting more with the family. So,
excellent.
It's been a bonus on that side.
Nice one. And BCITO, you're predominantly a learning organisation. Tell me if you learned anything new yourself in lockdown?
Yes, as part of this lockdown, we've been separated from our learners, you could say, as apprentices working on a construction site. So we've been rapidly trying to find different ways of connecting with them and engaging them, keeping them learning in this period. So we had to, in a hurry, change how we did our visits. So we've gone from face-to-face to phone initially. And in the same time, we're trying to stand up what they call a learner management system, which is a way of interacting online. So put all the learning material online and then enabling apprentices to upload evidence of their learning. And when they're back on site in level 3, we don't think, or we're not planning to be on site because of the restrictions and the fact that industry will be a month to 6 weeks behind. They're going to be flat out. So continuing that through level 3 just to enable that learning to continue. So around the learner management system, there, digital learning and digital content, we've been learning a lot about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this is probably crystal ball gazing a little bit, Glenn, but do you think that learning management, the digital learning aspect, will now be forever part of what you deliver with your customers and your members?
Oh, absolutely. If you think about not necessarily our cohort of apprentices and employers today, but if you think of 5 years' time, and a lot of potential apprentices coming through the school system now are learning in a digital way, so that's going to be their expectation. We've already got that expectation from some younger apprentices now. Why aren't you digital? Why aren't you doing this? So we've had a project to get that there. The COVID-19 just enabled us to accelerate that and bring that forward somewhat. So yes, it will definitely be long-term. And we think it'll also benefit the employees that are involved with us because it will enable content on there to help them deal with their apprentices better as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
How to help them learn.
Yeah. So Glenn, in addition to that digital learning capability that you're enabling, how else are you supporting your trainees at this time?
So we've got a number of different ways. Like our training advisors are currently working their way through their entire database by phone, both the employer and the apprentice. And initially, we're just calling as human beings, see how you are, how you're getting on, what's your situation. Do you want to continue to do some learning in this space? At the same time, everyone is working up until the 25th of March, so to speak. We're recognising what there's learning have been taking place in that space and acknowledging that with the apprentice and talking with the employer about that bit of learning and just getting their verification that they thought they were at this point. And then talking to the apprentices and employers about, hey, what might they be doing when they come out of lockdown so we can get them preparing some of the theory material around that. So they may be doing a footing, for example, so get them looking at footings and concrete and just reinforcing that learning about what they may be doing in the future. So yeah, it's just keeping people engaged has been our primary piece at the moment. And if we come across people that are struggling on that mental health side of things, we've got a list of options to offer support in different ways in that space as well, because no matter how you look at it, it's going to be a difficult time for people mentally as well in this space.
Certainly is, yeah, a lot of challenge, both in business context, but certainly in a personal context as well. And we know that the amount of impact that it's having on, construction company owners with cash flow, and they're trying to do right by their people and their apprentices, and during this time, pretty challenging. Has this lockdown presented almost a unique opportunity for your trainees where they've actually got some dedicated time probably to hit the books and maybe catch up or get ahead of where they've been? What's been your sense with the people you've been talking to?
It has been variable. There are certain folk that see it as an opportunity to really knuckle down and concentrate on the theory component, because that is always a challenge. It's a practical qualification, but joining the theory with that practical skill on site has always been a challenge of ours. Talk to apprentices and they say, oh, the book worst bit. I don't usually touch it until the training advisor rings and says it'll be around next week, and then I do a panic swat. So that's why we've been ringing to try and engage them and set them some goals around that. So, hey, I've got an hour or two spare. I'll knuckle down and jump in and do a little bit of that. And we've been talking to the employers as well. So some employers who have got multiple apprentices have actually set up little Zoom groups where they've got everyone on board and done what we call a community of practice, where they're working on various topics as a team and using the employers' knowledge and skills in that space as well, which has been fantastic.
That is brilliant. I mean, it's it's a great use of the time. It's a great use of technology. I think it's a good way to keep your team connected during this time, because particularly construction, you're used to being on site with your team all day, so you kind of lose that cultural aspect by being separated and lockdown. So it's a fantastic initiative. It's a really good idea.
Yeah, there was another employer that shared a set of plans, whether they were a future job or a past job, and asked the apprentices to do takeoffs and things like that on them. So keeping them stimulated and learning at the same time, and then comparing results. So it's some really good little learning innovation happening out there.
Yeah, great idea. In addition to those things you've mentioned, Glenn, how else can you help the employers during this time?
Well, BCITO has consolidated. There's a lot of advice from different areas out there. So our marketing team have done a great job of consolidating a lot of that content into one page on our website, where an employer can go in and have a look at the COVID-19 bits. They can go and look at wage subsidies, some other financial advice, a bit of employment law, the COVID-19 construction protocols. There's a link to that there. There's health and well-being, so talking about the mental health and bits and pieces, and identifying their own problems as well as their apprentices when they're talking to them. So you mentioned earlier that there'll be a lot of employers under an immense amount of stress, worried about their cash flow and work going forward. And at the same time, a lot of them are sitting down with not much to do after being used to being a busy entrepreneur, 6 days a week plus, and all of a sudden I've got all this time to do something else, and I've got to be thinking about that side. So there's the mental health piece, and there's also an offer on there from Business Mentors New Zealand as well for some of the folk that need a little bit of help as well. So we've been trying to consolidate different bits and pieces. I know master builders are doing a huge amount in that space as well, but it's just just consolidating those links into a construction focused little area. So trying to complement what master builders are doing and for our employers and our learners as well.
I think as an industry, it's a time to help each other out, right? Where we can, and it's not about profit or being the most successful right now. It's about helping each other out. Let's think about moving towards post-lockdown. I guess we'll have some businesses in different scenarios. We might have some that actually need more people very quickly and are thinking about they might have some jobs that are now requiring more resource. And equally, we might have some that unfortunately don't have the work that they're anticipating. So if I was let's say that second scenario, I'm an apprentice working for someone who may have to let me go. Is there anything BCITO can help me out with there looking for new employment opportunities?
Yeah, definitely. As an organisation, we've put a code in our system that'll help us corral apprentices that have unfortunately lost their role due to the situation that we're in. And we've got a job matching service that's on part of our organisation. We've got 3 wonderful people that sort of spend their day on the phone talking to employers and potential apprentices at the moment about roles that are trying to fit out there, because prior to lockdown, we're all trying to get better people and more people in the system. So now it'll switch to reconnecting apprentices into new roles. So if an apprentice finds herself in that space, onto our website, and you can sign up for job matching on there, and employers can also contact us via our 800 number, 800 422 486, and have a talk to us about if they're looking for people as well, because then we'll try and match them up. We take some details about what skills or attributes the employers are looking for in particular, and then try and find an apprentice or potential apprentice to match those. So, and then we leave the dating up to them. We just send the details to each other, and they can contact and do whatever the requirements around employment law from there, whether that's a 3-month trial or sign straight in, and then our goal in the end is to bring that person back into their apprenticeship and learning, and for us to fulfill a labour requirement for an employer as well.
Brilliant. I can see a future technology development here for BCITO. It might be the Tinder version of BCITO. You can just swipe left and swipe right to see which apprentice you want.
Yeah, we've already got the name, I think, Timber.
I like what you've done there.
Yes, it's something we have thought about, but we don't know whether that's politically correct or not.
Look, it would certainly get a few laughs, and at times like these, a bit of a laugh is pretty good medicine, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, Glenn, look, this sounds like there's a huge amount of things you're doing, and thanks for sharing some of those with us. Is there anything else you'd like the community out there to know that you're doing or how you can help?
Yeah, just if you do need something on the human resource side, or a bit of a talk to one of our team, by all means, just give us a ring, and we'll do what we can to help people connect. One of the benefits of the I suppose the COVID-19 is that a lot of employers have had time to actually sit down and have a really good conversation with us around their apprentices and that. And when you're on a busy site, you may only get a matter of minutes, 15, 20 minutes at max, sure, before you get moved on. Our training advisors have been having conversations of anything up to an hour or so with employers at the moment, just talking in general about the learning environment, the apprentice, and their business and what's going on within that, just as a good conversation. And I think we've managed to deepen our relationships a bit further during that period. So by all means, just get in contact, and we'll see what we can do to help in any of those sort of people situations, if you need some advice or some help in some way.
Fantastic. And Glenn, I'd add to that, I think some people probably have done some thinking about their businesses and what their resources might look going forward. They might be in a zone where they're going, I probably should be thinking about taking on an apprentice. Would certainly encourage them to come to BCITO website and check out the resources you have. And if you want a construction company owner perspective and an apprentice perspective, we did a podcast episode just last week around one of the guys that had been Apprentice of the Year, and it was fascinating just getting his and his employers' brilliant insight into the value that they'd created working together. It was superb.
Yeah, one of our principles is that everyone in the apprenticeship relationship is a learner. There wouldn't be many times that our training advisors don't turn up on a site and learn something about a new product, new technology, or way of doing things, and vice versa. The employer often learns as well in this stage. They've forgotten more than they remember around different theory components, so it's always good to get involved in those conversations and refresh as well. So that's a very important philosophy of ours, is that everyone is a learner in this relationship. So we try and drive that as we go.
Yeah, that is a great one. Hey, Glenn, thanks for joining us on the Master Builders podcast today. Be safe out there and keep up the great work at BCITO. Thanks very much.
It was a pleasure, and thank you very much.